Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name is Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go over some diversified mining companies and also some commodities themselves, the price of the commodities. And I am not diving into some of these yet. I do own them, and I'm waiting for them to find a bottom. Whenever they start going down and it looks like they haven't found a bottom yet, I'm just going to wait. I'll show you what the charts look like. We'll get into some of these diversified mining companies. They do pay very large dividends. Those dividends they do fluctuate based off of the price of the commodities they sell. I'll go over some of the commodities and show you kind of what they're doing in the backdrop. Iron ore has dropped quite a bit. It is attributed to China and some of the crisis. I think once that crisis passes, I think iron ore will normalize. So I would be waiting and looking for a bottoming and then buy into strength. You never buy into weakness trying to catch what I call is a falling knife because you're going to get cut. You wait until it bottoms, you wait for it to turn, and then you buy it into that strength, signaling, better times are coming. So let's take a look here. I'll do some of these diversified mining companies here. So this is VALE. You can see the resistance support line that's coming across here. We broke it back in late 2020. That's where I was a buyer. And I've been riding it up. And I've been riding it down. And I think we have not seen good support yet. So I would be waiting for a further pullback in VALE. And we could go all the way back to $9-ish, high eights, low nines. There is some support through, these areas back here. So maybe they stop at $11, $10. But I got to see that stop and turn. I'm not just going to dive into it. But it's up to you guys. I can't give advice. It's just my opinion. And I sprinkle in. I cost average in. I don't put it all in at one time. Here's BHP Group. BHP, another diversified miner. We had a reverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. We broke to the upside. We came back and did what I could consider to be a retest. And maybe right here would be a good time to do a little bit of sprinkling in. We're right at the support level. And hopefully that support level holds. But that's what we're seeing on the big long-term picture is we're right there at support for BHP. Looking at Rio Tinto. Again, this thing's been coming back. We've got the support down here at 52.50. Will this find support in this area down here? I have not seen it yet. It's got to show me that we've got support and that we're turning around. I would be holding here and waiting for a better buying opportunity until I see this firm up. Norilsk Nickel. This is another diversified mining company. They've got PGM metals, platinum group metals. I know some people ask me, how do I play the platinum group metals? I play it through Norilsk Nickel. They're also a large nickel company, and they have copper. They have all of the right materials in all the right places, so to speak. We came on up. We broke this pattern here, broke to the upside. Nice big move. And we've been meandering sideways with the other platinum group metals companies. I have not seen a strengthening move yet. It's kind of still meandering. So it's up to you what you want to do, but this one does look better than the other ones. It's not in a free fall. But that's Norilsk Nickel. Looking at some of these other ones, South 32, another diversified mining company, kind of come up and hit its head on the top over here. We're probably going to head on back a little bit. I'm looking for a turn before buying into it. So I'm still waiting on this as well. What I like seeing are these ones that come down and then they break like right here. That's where I'd be a buyer, big buyer. So it goes on up and then this will probably stair step higher. Here's Glencore. Glencore looks fantastic. I had to throw one in that looks really good. We've got a long-term trend line here. We broke out. We're coming back to do a retest, backtest at like $9. I would be highly interested in looking at it right at this point here. This is it is a diversified mining company, a lot of copper that it produces. This one looks fantastic right very soon. And then I've got Tech Resources here. Tech Resources, again, this is another one that I think looks really good. Downtrend line that broke to the upside. This could pull back, maybe not. But right here looks pretty good. And we've got a higher lows stepping up into the resistance line that it broke. Looks very strong. Here's iron ore. That's one of the commodities I wanted to touch on. We've been moving on up, and then we had a huge sell-off all the way back down to this trend line, and we could fall down even more. And that hasn't stopped and turned around yet. So I would be patient with dumping money into the companies that are heavily exposed to iron ore. But there will be an opportunity down here when this thing stops and turns around. One that stopped and turned around is lumber. I'm not saying to go out and buy a bunch of lumber, but that is turning around, and it's similar to the market of iron ore. Similar being that the chart hasn't bottomed, lumber has, and it had a huge pullback where it finally found support. That's what I'm looking for, is for it to find that support. You can see a bunch of support underneath this. Here's copper, another commodity coming on. This was the old bull market. You draw a trend line through here, it broke that trend line and took off. And then it was very, we'll call it volatile after. What I think this move is, this big move on the right here, I think it's this move here where it pauses right at the highs. Because that's where we're at. We're right at the high here. So this big first leg is this first leg here. This is the third leg of the move. And then we came to a fifth leg. This was a crisis that was in it, and the fifth leg ended here. This is the big first leg. And the third leg will be massive. But I think this move here is that move here. And we're just about to break to the upside of copper if you zoom in on the right-hand side and look at my other clips. We've got crude oil. Crude oil looks amazing. This is the last bull market in crude oil from 98 all the way to 2008. It was 10 years in duration. I think the bull market will be similar to that. Probably 2030 it'll end. Here's the downtrend line of the pattern. We broke the pattern to the upside. I think this has a long way to move higher. Will this pull back some? It could. Sometimes they pull back like this. But overall, over the next 5-10 years, I think this is going to work its way higher. Probably substantially higher. I think we'll break the old all-time high here at 140 eventually. Here's nickel. Nickel's another one that I like. Last bull market from 98 to 2008, and we had some pretty big pullbacks in some of these areas. But we've broken this pattern to the upside, and we're hopefully going to continue to move higher with nickel. Nickel's used in batteries for electric vehicles. The demand for nickel is skyrocketing higher, so we've got market balances in the future of deficits out a few years. So I suspect that this is going to move on higher over time. Here's tin. Tin has been incredibly powerful. This was all the way back to 1970. We had the setup here where it broke in the 2000, just after 2000, it broke its pattern and rocketed higher. First wave, third wave, fifth wave. And then it consolidated. We just have this huge first wave, which is analogous to this guy here, for what I think is going to be a big move. And if you notice, in 1970, tin usually is lagged a little bit, but behind the beginning of a bull market, at least in the 1970s, and it was in the 2000s. But this one has a huge run to the top here. So I think that's that first kind of leg coming on up. And then we'll have probably a breakout of this pattern here, where tin could go much higher. But that's yet to be seen. We'll see what happens here in the future. Now here's neodymium. This is a rare earth element or metal. We have a trend line going through. We hit the trend line. We hit the trend line, and each low is coming higher and higher. And then we broke through it. So neodymium broke through this pattern here, and we could see accelerated movements to the upside. This is also used in electric vehicles. I am playing this through REMX. It's a ETF, rare earth metal ETF. And there's also other rare earth metals. But that's what I have for today for the diversified mining companies and some of the commodity prices to get you guys kind of up to speed and to show you what they look like. I think that the energy markets are probably some of the hottest markets, and I think they'll remain hot into the next year. The thing that interests me with oil specifically is supposedly we're going to hit a deficit next year, which we've never seen before. That's the projection. How that's going to resolve itself is much higher prices. I don't know what the prices are necessarily going to be because we've never seen the market go into or try to go into a deficit. It's always been in a surplus, a small surplus. When that surplus shrinks, the prices go vertical. They're projecting quarter 4 of 2022 to have problems in the oil market. I don't know where the price is going to go. I'm very curious to see what happens, and we could even see it earlier than quarter 4. So I'm locked and loaded. I have my oil companies. I'm just riding them higher, and I'm watching the chart patterns develop. And there's a lot of really good chart patterns developing in oil. Cup and handle patterns that are developing that look absolutely excellent. So that's what I have for today. Give me a thumbs up for the content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Put any questions that you guys have in the comments section. And thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.